the minutes?
I did.
Did you take off draft?
I did.
Okay.
Here we go. For you, or for the president. I also have agendas here if anybody wants one.
Here, I'll send it down to get signed.
Oh, I got a couple things tonight. Let's see.
Bad shot.
Can I sign anything on this or what?
Not yet.
Okay, we are recording, so you guys know. For some reason, I'm not getting my camera to work correctly. I'm not sure why, but.
Well, they're
It's good call.
We approved it yet, but we have to wait till we approve it. Well, people sign it, need three changes and then.
Gonna leave us in here tonight, even though the camera's not gonna be working, but we'll be recording anyway. You're at 6:30.
Well, welcome everybody to the Culver County Appeal. And now let's put some hearing. So, pledge allegiance. Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Andy Melschen,
Present.
Kate Osborn, President. McManaway.
Present.
And John Crist is present. Also note that Kevin Dante, our town manager and acting building administrator, is still in here.
You might have it answered it over a minute. Yeah, I think that's a good food.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from March. Second.
You have something. All in favor of approving the minute? Aye. Opposed?
I appreciate the signature from the, committee. And I'll put the minutes when you're done.
We have no petitions for tonight. So we'll go to old order of business.
I've got a couple of questions, and we'll start with old business. Last time we discussed the height calculation, and I've shared with you, I went back to the standards, and I just, for a point of clarity to understand how we're calculating height and when we use which formula, I noticed that there's two formulas, and with it, I shared it with Barry prior to. And if you'll take a look at page 127 of the development standards, there's an alternative method, and I think Steve Gorski mentioned it on a specific case here. When to apply this methodology that uses, I won't call it a natural grade, but an existing grade. You'll see it in figure B. And when do we employ this? Because reading the standard, and I'll draw your attention back to the original first page. Under letter C, where the center of the building is not representative of the site, i.e. a ridge or depression occurs at that point, natural grade may be determined by the average grade across the worst case, greatest elevation, diagonal, or perpendicular section through the building. This is specifically talking to a building, I believe, that's non-existent. This is not referring to a demolition of a structure, but a non-existent structure. Blank lot. And if you go up above and read, I think that becomes a vacant property, if you will. And what I'm asking, and this can take a minute if you guys want to absorb it, not respond, but take a look at this text and see how that you understand it. I'm going to step out for just a minute if I might. And then I'll be back. Feel free to discuss the request.
Dan, if you remember, I know that the one time, that all these processes passed raised back in the building commission, he was trying to reduce it down to 1 or 2, to base 0.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's what it was.
I don't believe. So
It's a lot of fun. Reason for it, because we had so many different ways of
Right.
property, and one was built this way, and the other one was built another way. Down before it came to it. And that's basically, I think the city got anyway. I think that he should be here to prevent all that and there and all that stuff and stuff. But
That's the underlying question for me. When do we use it? When will we use this thing?
I was saying, I know that's we're looking into reducing the amount of process.
Mm-hmm.
So like 1 or 2. They want to go with the first 2 that we read, the perpendicular and cross. And she liked the part better, so that was good.
Okay.
There's a time that I run something, but I agree with that because situations would come up with that to each other. We would do, trying to do a walkout. But
Right.
I probably don't can.
But is it still applicable within our ordinances?
It sounds like refers to a vacant lot, or refers back to number 1. Number 1 probably refers to number 8.
So that's you're starting to touch on some of my problems, Mel.
The only thing that talks about things repeated looks like after. There's nothing in the rest of this talking about things, whether it's talking about existing building tear down or vacant. So, oh, you're right. So 2 is the only one that talks about.
But I would point. Oh, sorry. Go
What's the
ahead.
differentiation between the actual building site and the lot? That's what we're kind of, you know what I'm saying?
So the lot, and what I would understand is the lot as it exists, a site is prepped. A site would be
Right.
prepped and level.
Right.
So,
That's why you have to have the written grade established before.
For a vacant lot,
According to
According to this right here,
number 1, yeah,
number 1 is vacant property.
the A figure, A1A, whatever, the only one that can be used for a vacant property. The B calculation can only be used for the.
It does say here that the grade is determined within the boundaries of the proposed construction. Not the
Not
whole
the-
lot,
not the lot.
not the whole lot.
that's what I was asking. Is that
so I
how
would
you're
point,
taking that?
I would point to the question under C, where the center of the building is not representative of the site. Now, whether or not that's pre or post leveling, the question becomes, when it's not representative of the center, that's when we start using an alternative formula. And by not representative, I would suggest that means lower than the existing surrounding grade.
Worst case scenario,
Yes,
diagonal or perpendicular section.
By the average grade across the worst case, graded elevation section. Diagonal or perpendicular section to the building.
so the determinant, excuse me, go ahead.
But it does say that the grade is determined within the boundary of the structure of the structure, not
Not the
the
lot.
lot.
Diagonal or perpendicular section through the building. That's right.
So the only time,
We should talk about where the center of the building is not representative of the site. In other words, if it's not marked.
well, no, it means like if the center of the building is not like the average change in elevation.
So if you take a look at our model on figure B, let's assume that building is being calculated based upon the fact that the center of that building is not, the reason we're breaking out of the usual formula is because the center of that building is not representative of the existing grade, which would imply it's lower than the existing grade. So instead of doing the cross diagonal, it's saying you can use the worst case scenario from front to back. So in this example, they use 98 to 93. Excuse me,
90,
yeah, 98 to 93 to establish a center of between the average, the median would be 95.5. So they take a diagonal as it reads. The furthest outside corners of the structure, and you project the existing grade through the building using the worst case scenario, the highest and the lowest of the corner of the buildings, and then calculate your center based upon those, the existing grade. Only when the center is not representative of the existing site, which would mean lower than the natural grade.
True, but figure B is only applicable for tear.
Is it, or vacant?
Just, it's only mentioned in section 2.
Well, building footprint shall be established at projection before the outside corner. It talks about the building footprint. But at the same time, when you already have a tear down, you have to use the existing footprint for the point of grade, right? I mean, if it's bigger or shorter, you're going further out, but you're moving the house within setback, or you're gonna be looking at.
I would direct your attention to just under subsection 1, vacant property. The natural grade on vacant property shall be established as follows. Property owner shall establish the building footprint on the site by its extended outside edge walls, see figure A. Okay, that's in a normal case. It's level ground that he's building on. B, natural grade can be established either cross diagonal corners, highest to lowest, through the center of the building, see figure A1, or square to the building, highest to lowest, through the center of the building, see figure A2. Again, normal cases. I read C as being exceptional, the way that the first line reads, where the center of the building is not representative of the site. In the first two cases, the center of the building would be representative of the site using the diagonal method. When that's not the case, a ridge or depression occurs at that point. So if you got some type of low or high in the center, natural grade may be determined by the average grade across the worst case diagonal or perpendicular section through the building.
Building, not through the site.
No, not through the site, through the building. Absolutely correct. But you're using the existing grade from the one corner. As you look at the model, you're taking one corner, highest to lowest corner through the building, and that's your center. And I'm wondering if that's what Mr. Gorski was referring to me.
Okay, in this example right now, when we're showing 100 at the southwest corner, figure B,
Yes, sir.
it's 100 right there. And then far corner off to the hip is a 93.
It is, but you can't, you're using the parallel corner, so 98 to 93 on that in this example.
Okay, and then what are the other side? Highest is gonna be 197, 96.
You know what? Even in that example, though, it says the north side of the building from 98 to 93. If you look at what would be the south side of the building, it goes, and you use just the south, the three south edges, it goes from 94.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
True.
So the greatest grade change.
And not to get lost in the weeds here, you're right. What I'm saying is this when we, whatever that might be, whatever we decide,
Yeah.
in terms of the worst case, low case,
Yeah.
what's the formula that we're using here? Because last time when I approached for guidance, we used the A. And I went back just to do some reading and studying it on my own to see where. And I hit this and I'm like, okay, this seems to be applicable.
So I looked through this, and I hate to be fickle,
But please,
but, and maybe they just forgot to type in this note, like for A, or for 1C, diagram B.
yeah,
But if you look at 2A, the very last sentence, the planning commission shall use its best judgment to determine the previous existing grade, whereby the natural grade shall be determined as described under number 1 for a vacant lot. Okay, so number 1 never mentions figure B. The only place that figure B is mentioned is natural grade, is 2C. Natural grade may be determined at the midpoint of the wall of the house with the greatest grade change is nearly perpendicular to the slope as possible. So,
but it's
I don't know.
describing the same thing that's in C up above.
it is.
That's where I have a
I'm
problem, Melschen.
just saying, like, as it's written
Yes,
for a vacant property, there's nothing in here to tell us to employ figure Bs.
other than the description that is provided in C.
And so I guess my point of view is like, you want to contemplate using figure B as the 1C, then I think that I would like town attorney to verify that he reads that the same way before we contemplate a secondary thought process.
Good point.
Well, and again, we know that we're thinking about a case, but
I'm
I
just
need
saying for
clarity of
long run,
understanding,
right?
yeah.
And when we update these, like, we need to make sure that if there are 2 possibilities for vacant lots that we can do.
But there is something that may address our concerns a little bit. Section 5 about recourse for dispute of natural grade. And then you read through, and then on the next page, 125, it says verification.
Yes, sir.
In the first item under verification, property owner, in conjunction with the building commissioner, shall establish a site benchmark that will remain protected throughout the project. The site benchmark shall be within 50 foot of the building footprint and within 3 foot of the natural grade vertical. So what I'm thinking of is, you know, how this one particular case that's on hold right now is way up here and it goes way down there. Okay, and I did drive the driveway, because remember I said something about, it was in excess of 300 feet, and it is. You got that, if it's gotta be according to this, it's gotta be within 50 feet, then of the building footprint, then that's it. You can't go all the way up to the road.
But that can be 50 feet lower than the building footprint.
It says shall be within 50 feet of the building footprint. I'm assuming distance, horizontal distance, 50, not vertical. Because
I hate to assume.
it says the site benchmark shall be within 50 feet of the building footprint and within 3 foot of the natural grade vertical.
And I appreciate it. Within the language of the ordinance. Now, it doesn't specifically mention figure B, right? And it empowers the BZA, I think, it can empower the BZA if so demonstrated. If the BZA determines that the center of that building or that lot is not representative for any reason of the surrounding grade, then that they can have an alternative calculation of the center grade based upon that statement.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
If the plan commission is supposed to verify the grade, why? Is it because it's already been established for that lot?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I could poke a hole in my logic really quick if you want me to. I sat around and wrote this. I mean, in my head, in my notes. When they say that it's not representative of the site, are they talking about a pre-existing site before any fill has been brought in?
I mean, how do you remediate that to understand what the previous grade was?
I don't know.
If you had, I mean, I'm gonna say this. in ignorance, but would you, as a property owner, have to establish when it was filled up? So that the grade, natural grade would change by then? No.
Do you need any sort of permitting to then fill it?
Well,
Yeah, that's going down a strange road. but-
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know, is
I mean,
it a floodplain or anything like that, you have to get a permit from the DNR.
Yeah, and by the way, the building commissioner up in Marshall County is going to be knocking on his door before the building permit. That's not me. Yeah. So
I guess back to my original question is, if diagram B is an option, right? for
yes,
Any particular person that has a elevation change,
yes.
why would the diagram or figure B not go to the plan commission to determine grade?
I don't know the answer to
it
that.
would be basically, planning commission would have to send it to the BZA.
Yeah.
Well,
And it would have to be in the form that planning commission couldn't determine or couldn't agree with the property owner
sure.
on the grade. Well, then the planning commission would be the body that would have to determine that by a vote for saying, you'll have to take this for the BZA.
What I'm saying is right now, it's only been determined by figure A.
Right.
Right, so if figure B is an option, then theoretically, the plan commission can calculate that grade elevation change using figure B if that's a valid option.
If this is an option that according to that property could apply, that's what
I'm asking.
you're asking.
Right.
You know, and if it would apply, then planning commission decides that whatever we do as a planning commission, I'm not saying we, I'm not saying the planning. The planning commission can use that option which is applicable for the property, whatever they will build, then it wouldn't need to come before we get it all. But
Unless the property owner disagrees with.
Yeah. I mean, now I was telling Kevin, you know, that it does say, you know, that if it comes to whatever, either one can agree
Right.
between the building commissioner and property owner.
And I mean, in
It can be
reality,
taken from the building commissioner to the planning commission, and the property owner can present to the planning commission what they're doing as far as if you have any questions from the planning commission to why you're doing this, and it would be applicable, then you can approve it. Or else you can see everything as far as what he's done. And for whatever they want to do.
Here's where I kind of live with going back to 3. If property owner elevates above existing grade, lifts the building up, the foundation base above existing grade, then this would not be applicable. Because in essence, he's above the existing grade. And center would be taken from that. But in a specific case here, the building owner has done leveling, not necessarily rising of the property. at an existing grade that is below the surrounding grade. So that leveling grade of the property, of the site, is going to be below the existing grade around it. Now, I'm not sure that's the case, that's a reason to employ an alternate.
Yeah, we can't, how are you gonna prove what that was?
You could say that he improved the property. He's the worst case scenario. Maybe he filled in a giant ravine.
Yeah, and I don't know, and I'm saying,
Right. So like,
but within this case, right, there's,
without data previous to any leveling.
and that's why I want clarity and discussion on it, because there is, it's not as black and white, right? And that's where we get into the conversation.
Shouldn't there be on record a survey of the property as it was before it was altered due to the sale of the property? So,
Yeah, but what,
I don't.
I don't know if
They're
they
not
do.
gonna have
They're
elevations.
not gonna have a topographic.
No, but what-
I don't
what
think they're gonna have elevations, are they?
Yeah, what we do
they
have-
should.
we have
How
existing,
long it
Well,
was.
you could go,
we have existing elevations. The elevations, there's no reason to assume those elevation lines didn't run through from one point to the other consistently, because they're the same on both sides of the property where the site is present. Okay, so there's reason to believe that those lines are existing, not using the word natural, and they were there prior to the leveling of this property. And they're all higher, even on the bottom lakeside, he's still higher than the existing property leveling. That's what we showed in that model last time we met. And it is consistent. I mean, there's accuracy beyond the model itself. But
So if that was true, and you have that property already existing to where it is right now,
yes,
then when you find the grade, it's gonna be according to that grade is what the amount, correct?
it depends on which formula that we use, guys.
Right. And
But when Mr. Gorski left this case in the fall, his first initial reaction was to use Formula A. However, he suggested that there's an alternative formula within, if we all remember correctly, and you guys were here, I wasn't. And I'm not sure and he wasn't sure either whether or not that is applicable.
yeah, I mean,
Never really officially got to us either.
No,
No,
it didn't,
no.
and it still hasn't.
no, that-
And I'm trying to work with the homeowner right now to make sure that I don't want the first time we hear a case is before somebody brings it up, it causes a lot of issues during the case.
what I'm,
And I'm not coaching either, just on the record.
I mean, so the way it is now, grade is determined by figure A. So the only way that could change would be to verify that this one C is representative of utilizing figure. And if it is, then it can be recalculated. And if it can be recalculated, then the plan commission can make their determination.
right, I agree with it.
And from that point, then either the homeowner agrees with the determination or doesn't, and then theoretically, we probably wouldn't alter the grade, right? We would alter the height of the structure as.
Right, there's multiple avenues to be considered here. Number one, how do you calculate the heights? Number two, is there a possibility for a variance on a building that doesn't go above the existing roof lines of the surrounding property, but the variance goes into a basement? All those are considerations. They don't mean that the path or that they're acceptable. I'm saying there are like 101 ways of consideration. I can't anticipate or understand where that will go.
I have, not to cut you off, but
Yeah,
if you're gonna
please.
come before the board of zoning appeals as far as for a variance, and you can apply to a variance for anything. That's up to them.
Right.
Whether it goes through is up to us.
Right.
But could we even possibly allow if you got an established grade, and then turn around and bring the footprint as
far as elevation to where your starting point for the height. We can't even,
Here's what I
we
got.
bring that to a vote as far as what I'm saying right now.
Here's what I've got. When Mr. Gorski left the case, the height was determined using Formula A. Considerations put out there, I want to make sure that Formula B or the alternate formula reference book is not something that is automatic and understood as being applicable in the case. As it stands right now, there's an appeal process for the height that exists within the ordinance, okay? There's a process that can be followed to appeal the height of this building. As it stands right now, Mr. Gorski made a determination of the height as building commissioner, and that unless there's something compelling that I'm missing, and that's why I'm trying to do my due diligence being new, there's nothing beyond that I'm missing. That's the height as it exists until the is conducted. And I'm just trying to get my mind around it, so I'm making sure that when I do give the feedback,
You can't make a decision on the grade.
no. But you can help me understand. And again, I wasn't asking for a
I'm saying
decision.
from like
Right.
a
Yeah.
I mean, we're
perspective
not,
builder.
yeah, it's not a coming
Yeah.
to a vote on this.
So, but I'm just saying, like, even if they disagreed with the plan commission's determination for grade, they couldn't come here and appeal that decision.
No, they can
They could.
appeal, they
They
can
can
appeal the
appeal.
building commissioner's
We
decision.
can appeal that to us.
I understand the building commissioner made the determination of the height, of the elevation, zero elevation of this property.
Yeah, we knew that.
You knew that.
Yeah.
And Mr. Gorski, as he left, it's told the homeowner there is an appeal process for that. That is spelled out within the ordinance.
But the appeal process would be not for determination of grade.
I got the impression it was determination.
It is the determination of grade, that's what I
It
understand.
applies to the height.
It does in essence, Dan, it does, but
They can appeal to whether it be building commissioner's decision on that, or they can appeal what the plan commission says on that. But it would still come here to appeal.
that's my understanding of
And
it.
that's my understanding too. And if you'll notice in past cases, I mean, anytime that we allowed what was homeowners or whatever didn't agree with, it was a BZA that went forth. At what point?
I guess my,
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it follows on the BZA that.
I'm ignorant, so excuse me. But if we were going to calculate an appeal for grade, we'd be using the same formula. Right, the formula is not going to change, the height, the elevation points are not going to change.
Right.
So why would you ever appeal that?
Because you've got 5
If you allow,
paper. But can I ask a question here? I would want to hear on this. It talks about figure B. There's no cases that really refers back to this B. So how can you determine that that is even being able to be used?
and the language within there doesn't really describe it.
There's no language.
When it's not representative of the site, that doesn't necessarily give me an automatic employment of the formula. And I apologize if I bring confusion, but I hope you can understand it.
Sure.
I mean, I understand your confusion, because I mean, I'm getting confusion here on why we look at this as an option. Because it has no place in the development standard, we can use it.
That's it. When I inherited this case, I'm gonna say it that way. The following was, there was already a dispute about the center that was provided, Mr. Crist. Within the ordinance, it states, recourse for dispute of natural grade. If the property owner and the building commissioner cannot come to an agreement on the natural grade, the property owner may request a clarification from the plan commission. Following items must be presented to the plan commission in order to obtain a clarification. Boundary survey, setback lines, including establishing points on adjacent properties, footprint and finished floor elevations of an existing structure on site, proposed building footprint with measurable references to permanent points on the site. Sufficient points shall be set to allow verifications by the building commissioner. Topographic map at 2 inch or 2 foot or smaller increments tied to MSL. permanent benchmark established on the site. Benchmark shall be within 50 foot of the proposed building footprint. Registered surveys calculations, or excuse me, sections through the building footprint as described in the definition of natural grade. I think we go back to that formula.
Right.
Registered surveyor's calculation of the building grade of the existing grade within the building footprint based on a 10 foot by 10 foot. There is a process for the homeowner to be able to appeal what has been established as center grade. That involves the plan commission and everything I read.
Yeah.
And I think that is where
I think
we had the case when I picked it up, and I would argue, I've tried to do my due diligence to make sure I understand how the calculation was made. That doesn't mean it's right, wrong, indifferent, or there's not alternative. What I hear is the reports for those alternatives and to understand them are through the plan commission, through an appeal by the property. And I think that's going to be where I am at, and that's going to be my recommendation.
I mean, that's what I.
And I went a long way to get back to
Right.
the point where I was
No,
standing
no.
at, but I wanted to make darn sure that I wasn't missing
You're
anything, guys.
perfectly.
And I apologize, I'm trying to honor your time too.
No. You explained it exactly the way to make it known exactly the process goes through.
I just want to be fair.
Okay, I mean, I think the fairest way, what you're talking, my opinion, I'm not building on anything. I'm just using past experience on the planking, right? I just do it. But we've never had a case like this. But I know that there's been instances that it almost came for the same, because there was a dispute over the established grade, and it was on R1. But to me, process here as far as property owners that will keep disputes while the building commission says it's this have a credit. I'm trying to make. And I think it's just exactly what Kevin explained as far as bring back and have all these things that before the plan commission, establishing everything as far as vegetation, the building commission had already went through. But it's kind of like TLC. The building commissioners come back and saying, hey, I've got a problem with this. And say, I work for you, your plan commission, you're the plan commission, you're gonna make me final approval. And this is required by the homeowner. I'm gonna do this. He's wanting that grade change. And not a BZA problem, because we're talking established grade, so we come before the plan commission. Got 9 people that can look at every one of those things, and that decision would be based on everything that he showed you, whatever.
And the
plan commission says, no, we gonna be exactly what it is. And his only step forward then would bring an appeal to the BZA. That would be the proper step.
The homeowners provided the evidence that's listed for the most part in that already, prepared. I think I'd be comfortable. I think there's a recourse, there's a course of action. Move forward with the plan commission. I think the plan commission will approach the case fairly and look at it, follow the ordinance and go.
Have we looked at figure B to see if it changes anything?
I'd like to get, independent of this case, I'm trying to figure out the existence of figure B in there. Right. Because it's problematic in some ways. And if that figure B is going to exist, we need to revisit the language. Plan commission needs to revisit that language and clarify and specifically mention when to employ this formula and when not to. Because as it stands right now, in my opinion, it leaves too much interpretation. And I hope I demonstrated that at least tonight, if nothing else.
It doesn't make sense the way that's written, because if you're doing a tear down, the grade has already been established. That's why it's established.
I mean,
But when you approach, we're going to increasingly approach vacant lots.
Yeah.
To some degree. And unfortunately, there's very few.
we have in the past, but nothing.
Not to this level. So thank you for the feedback. I think that's where we're at. And it's back to where we were possibly, but at least I have a better understanding of the process, and thanks. I just want to make sure. I got one more, I was approached, and I think this is going to also go before the plan commission eventually, I'm sure, for an ordinance change or at least a consideration. I mentioned this property prior to the meeting. This is the College Avenue. You were approached earlier last year or late last year by Jim yesterday. Yes. And about a property on College Avenue for an addition. This is the proposed addition as it exists. I met with a homeowner. There are some hardships on the back end of this property in terms of utility. There's a leveling of the property that's going to go on to be more in line with the property back to the south of it. He wants to bring it level with the property with a small upgrade, about a foot and a half. A line, put in sidewalks along the corner there where there's non-existent sidewalks, preserve the tree line that's on the Liberty Street side of this property on the east side. What he's asking for is, in many ways, is a determination. It's a corner lot. This is always a problem, and I surprisingly was talking to Plymouth attorneys. Plymouth has the same problem. Essentially, you're creating a hardship of 2 backyards, 2 front yards on a corner lot in town. And the property's address is sitting on College Avenue. He would require a rear yard setback in this case, as he proposes it, as well as a side or a second front yard on Liberty Street setback. If we consider Liberty Street to be a side yard on this corner lot, he's within the setback. He's 10 foot. However, the way the ordinance interprets it is 25, right? Now, well, that's it.
And it, well, basically rear, you got 3.
You got 4 25s.
Yeah, well,
And technically, when you do that,
what he wants to do is you got 3 that affect this
yes,
project. Right?
yeah, yeah. And I think that's a separate matter that's going to have to be revisited by plan. But for the purpose of this, I went down and took Jim brought us setbacks average on those properties, if you can recall. Walking down the street on Liberty Street, the gap between this addition and the existing house back to the south on Liberty Street far exceeds the average setbacks on the homes on Liberty Street in terms of side yards. They're very tight through there. And I think that's what the point Jim was trying to make. I was looking at that.
And the property
And it's-
off Liberty Street.
So if you head back south on Liberty Street,
Yeah.
those side yards, the houses that are frontage,
Or make
So-
them all-
It proved, it came in front of the BZA,
yes.
the house to the south. Was that done on the original footprint?
That house in the south, just south of him,
Yes.
my understanding is yes,
That's a pretty.
because that's pretty mean.
It's a pretty extensive remodel, and I'm just wondering,
It
do you
is.
remember that, Barry?
Yeah.
Do
It,
you remember? You were here, yeah.
and as a matter of fact, that house, its setback is much closer to the property adjacent to it to the south than the proposed addition. Just to understand the
Yeah,
record.
I'm just afraid we're getting into that. You know, this one's not as close as that one. This one won't be that much further than that one, you know.
Well, those are the,
So, you know, those are self-created hardships a lot of times.
To a certain extent,
doesn't the building commissioner have
yes,
the ability to just approve it if it's in line with the neighboring?
yes.
property?
You do, if it's in line.
Yes, absolutely. And this, actually, this property is in line.
Different, it still needs the rear yard, so.
I would
The
argue that
rear
they need-
yard, we don't really look at that as much.
No.
Front yard is where we wanna be.
Here's where I'm more
You got
comfortable.
a 100-foot house and you got a 10-foot house.
But it's a corner, so you've got 2 of them.
Yeah,
That's the.
That's the hard-
That's.
But
the
that's not a
that-
hardship.
Well, yeah, you're right.
You know,
It is a hardship, but it's not.
It's a hardship to the
It's-
owner.
It's something that I think the town, as we look at building, is something that I think there's an appetite to reconsider and look at.
Yeah.
Beyond that point, I'm not comfortable making a determination as an acting building commissioner because that's problematic. I'm much more willing to ask the homeowner to put the BZA case in the portal. I need advice on since that side yard line is in sight with that on Liberty Street, would I recommend the homeowner put in for 2 variances, both side yard and rear yard setbacks in this case? Or would I just say the rear yard being the back of this property away from College Avenue?
But if I were to advise people on utility and application, I put anything on there that I thought needed.
When they apply for a variance for either one, they need to have everything on there that they're going to be doing.
That's right.
And requesting.
Because
Right.
we might come up with what they have to do and it has to come back
So
to
I'm-
us, right?
So the setbacks on, I would recommend 2 setbacks here. One on the Liberty Street side and one on what we're calling the rear yard setback, the second front yard if you want to. My recommendation in terms of the variance that they're required of standard is going to be based upon a 25-foot setback on Liberty Street, as well as a 25-foot setback on the back end of the property. I think that it's reasonable, that it's in line. Mr. Easterday can make the case, and I think that we can put it in front of the BZA that way. I just need to know what he needs to apply the variance.
Right.
I mean, I guess my question is, and this is not in front of us, I'm just,
No, I understand.
like, but why not just add the addition to rear yard as opposed to?
That would be
You mean to the very back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they're already going back
Well,
that
the
far.
very back, they got tradition to put their utility lines, everything.
They've got a
else.
lot of, it would require extensive movement of some of the utilities in that location.
But I guess the thing that really, and it's kind of like that, maybe a selfish thing on my part, but when you're looking at, I mean, I know corner lot, talking two front yards, you've got 25-foot setbacks for two, or actually 3 here in this case. But much as part of the alley, I wouldn't listen. But we tried to get, like on R1, we wanted to go to the 10-foot setback rear yard. And the council said we need to leave it on the side.
Yeah.
But yet, when we go on the street side, then now we're looking at a setback of setting our 25 required in half or even
I understand.
more. And I mean, if it's a council thoughts on this, that we need the rear yard protected to 25 feet, then why are we pushing so hard to allow street side? The rear yard setback, I don't see where, I thought the 10 foot was really reasonable. I'm not
10
saying
or
it's like
15,
that.
10 or 15.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. And if you look at it,
You look at.
we're at 10 foot here on that setback. And again, it's above the average, but it still needs a variance. I mean, I'm not arguing, certainly by any means. I just need to know what kind of variance we're applying for.
But right now.
And the way the ordinance reads,
But the
shows it on
existing
that
structure
side.
right now is 18, a little over 18 and a half feet, front setback.
yes,
From that side, this front, whatever it's called.
yeah.
So it's already not.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah. And basically, he's gonna need 2 14-foot, very close to it, some change, whatever, for that rear yard and that side yard. And the reason.
But the
he-
rendition doesn't really show that.
No.
The existing showing 18, over 18 and a half.
About the west,
Yeah, that's where the utility on that west side.
all the way on
Yeah,
the west side.
side.
And there's 20 feet over there.
Yeah, I'm not the architect
I know,
here,
I'm just.
but you would still probably, if you put in that dimension, you'd still need the variance on that side.
Well, that side's only 10 feet.
Correct.
Because it's on
the
the
property
it's on the alley side.
I mean, they're looking at 10 feet, they're meeting that setback.
No, I'm talking about the west side. though.
You would still need, if you put it on that west side, you'd still need the 10 foot on the rear yard. You'd still need a variance for the rear yard,
Yeah.
and you'd still need one on that. Because technically, you don't have a side yard on a corner lot. You got 25, 25, 25, 25.
No, you have
But you got,
2 front yards, a rear yard, and 1 side yard.
Yeah.
That's how we've always.
That's what he had, yeah.
you got a rear yard.
We got
though,
3 25s and a 10.
But you
Okay.
got a rear
Right.
yard though, is 25.
That's what I'm
and it's
saying. You got
already
3
10.
25s and a 10 on the west side. You got front, you got College Avenue, you got Liberty Street, you got the back,
You get what I'm driving at here.
right?
We've got 25-foot setback required all 4 times.
Why? Because of the alley?
Basically, an alley.
If you got 2 front
Well,
yards,
because there's an alley there.
if you got 2 front
Oh,
yards,
real alley.
Yeah.
I'll do a little bit of research on it, but I understand what you're saying, Melsh, but, and again, you're still ending up,
I'm not against 10 the side yard setback. I'm just.
Right, but you realize, what I was
Especially when
trying
it's
to get
in
at,
line.
my point was, your rear yard setback is gonna be 10 foot on this. Right. It requires 25.
And to follow what we have,
Now,
to-
this side over here, and this side here still requires 25, and this one right here requires.
What
25.
I don't want to do is use the building commissioner clause within there that allows me the siding on that side yard on Liberty side. On the
Well,
map.
sure.
I don't want to say, well, it's in line, so we're going to give it to you.
I mean, I get.
I want to put in for the variance, and I want to make sure that I'm putting in for a 25-foot. I want to make sure that I'm telling him correctly that the corner lot has 225 requirements on this addition, and that please put in for the variance accordingly of the standard. Okay,
Right.
that's where I'm at, and we're good.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically, because I mean, it's already back.
Where I'm getting a little confused is this picture here is not representative of the back two pages.
No, it's not. It-
So
It doesn't have the addition on it. That's just that's just
I
above the
think
garage.
this, I
Yeah.
think this is,
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I'm going off the plans. That's what I'm
You know what
doing.
I'm saying?
I mean,
It looks like you're building.
I got news for you.
Over here, yeah.
Just,
Garage is
I
all
would
back.
absolutely ignore that picture because I'm not sure why that's on there.
yeah, because that's got a garage.
No.
Taken from.
on
Do
it,
me a solid.
but it's not.
Go to the final page.
I think it's more for aesthetics,
This
like
right
understanding
here,
what it's gonna look
That
like.
would be off the collar.
Yeah,
A true
man, yeah,
representation.
There's-
I agree, but the
But they do
the
show
garage
the
is on
Yeah, don't look at the picture, look at the
the
plan.
side yard, so to speak.
Yeah. Don't look at the picture, look at the plan.
Garage
The plan is accurate. I don't know what the picture is. I apologize for including it, but I think that there's value in the plan.
Red.
Yeah. The thing that I do want to insist on with the homeowner, since there is a leveling with this and it's going to be beneficial for drainage,
I
it's
think
going to
that
help in
was
that
what,
situation.
yeah.
The trees need to
Future day,
stay.
we're talking about that too.
They need to make sure,
Drainage.
they've been in contact with Bob Porter. He's gonna install neither one of the sides of this home have sidewalks on it, either on the College Street or Liberty Street side. The homeowners knows their responsibility of putting those sidewalks in. So there is cooperation.
And the town still cooperate with sidewalks part when they do the.
Yeah, absolutely.
Property, and when they put the sidewalk in, when they do it. Town pays part of it, whatever, or
Yeah, no, that's actually on the homeowner for the improvement. Homeowner pays for it. There is a sidewalk grant, Barry, you know that, but not same.
I didn't think they had to apply for the grant or something like
No,
that.
we put a requirement on it.
That wouldn't have named.
Those trees have to come out of there then?
No, that's my understanding. He says he's gonna make every effort to keep those trees. I think it's advisable. I think it's easily done. When he shaves that property down, he's not gonna be, the root line's still gonna be there. That's why he's only bringing it down. He's gonna be about a foot higher than that property that is to the south of him, that new house. So I think it's a reasonable addition too, because it's not oversized, but at the same time, I do think it still requires a variance for both. I knew the rear yard for sure, but I'd be more comfortable approaching for both on the side yard or what we're calling the Liberty Street front yard.
Yeah.
And my issue is that I think I want to ask the plan commission to revisit the ordinance on that and see if there's value in maybe making your property front yard your address side. Your door. I think it just, why, Dan, I think it just removes a lot of cases and variance it calls.
A lot of time before it required to add that, being on the
Right.
side of the house.
Okay.
That's usually where your front.
That's where your front door is.
And that's where your front door is now, right?
I would put forth that satisfies my knowledge. Thank you.
The last thing I would say about that is.
Yeah.
I still just struggle with
I struggle
the
with
necessity
addition
for the
being
rear yard
on that side.
setback when there's so much room on the west side. Like, even,
I'm with you.
But even if you put that house on the west side, there's gonna be a rear yard setback. But the other, a 10-foot.
Right.
It's gonna be the same rear yard setback.
It would still be the same.
It would be 100%. Where you're right, Andrew, is that
He's going back to the south.
yeah.
I would, but I tell you what, I mean, I just look at
with the current line. right?
Oh, you're talking all the way. Yeah. I understand from an architectural standpoint, I think there's a desirability not to do that.
He's also putting a giant deck back there that pretty much runs the length of the house. So I would.
I reminded the pervious impervious
What
to
I was
it when I
gonna
was
say,
there.
you might,
I did. I talked to him about it, so. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Next meeting, 6:30 Thursday. Hopefully we'll have some cases May 21st. I'm sorry, I'm not, and believe me when I tell you this, I'm thankful and I appreciate the fact you guys were willing to convene without a case. I'm not trying to get a determination or trying to coach anybody. What I gotta be able to do is advise the right course of action. And I don't know until I have that conversation, especially with the first case. You know,
Yeah.
we left it, but then there was an alternative thrown out at the last second.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure that I satisfied that and understood why or why not. But I think the clearest point of action would be to put them in front of the plan. With this property owner, I think it's 2 variances until we change the ordinance. The ordinance is what it is right now.
I mean, the ordinance is what it is, but at the same time, you don't have anything as far as the development.
Process, you know? That's my really only objection to using it,
Yeah.
because it does not show where it would apply.
I mean, the way that it's written, the B process shouldn't be in there because.
Let's,
Yeah.
you guys want to adjourn first and then we
Okay,
can
yeah.
shut the recording off
All
and
right,
go.
next meeting, 6:30 PM, Thursday, May 21st,
Yes, sir.
2026. No other comments, from the board, we'll adjourn.
Thank you, sir.
we need a motion. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.